Chosen one, understand this with absolute clarity. There is something extraordinary about your presence that even you have not fully recognized yet, because Allah wrapped your worth in humility and hid your light behind silence. And the people around you took that for granted. They walked with you, benefited from you, leaned on your energy, relied on your calmness, and enjoyed the peace that came with you, without ever realizing that Allah had placed you as the unseen backbone, the quiet protector, the spiritual shield in their lives. And when you finally disappeared, when you pulled your energy back, when you stopped pouring into the ungrateful, when you stepped away from environments that drained your soul, everything started collapsing, not because you wished harm, but because the barakah Allah sent through you was removed with you. Suddenly their peace faded, their relationships cracked, their unity dissolved, their plans failed, and their life lost balance, because the blessing they thought was normal was actually a gift Allah delivered through your presence. And once Allah pulled His chosen servant out, He allowed everything built on ego, deceit, and ingratitude to fall apart, not to punish you but to reveal your true worth, to show them what they lost when they lost you, and to elevate you to a level where your absence speaks louder than your presence ever could. Chosen one of the greatest hidden truths Allah reveals only to those whom He honors is that your presence in people's lives was never ordinary. It was a shield they never thanked you for, a mercy they never recognized, a silent protection they assumed would always be there. And because you never bragged, never demanded credit, never announced what your soul was carrying, they mistook your light for something normal, not realizing that Allah was using you as the barrier between them and the chaos that was supposed to reach them. It was your prayers that softened their hardships, your patience that diffused their disasters, your kindness that quieted their storms, your sincerity that stabilized their emotions, and your heart that carried burdens they were too fragile to face. Yet they looked at you as if you were replaceable, easy to ignore, easy to dismiss, never knowing that the moment Allah removed you, He removed the spiritual shield that had been protecting their life from collapsing, and only then did they understand that the peace they enjoyed, the blessings they experienced, the stability they leaned on were never from their own strength. It was from your presence, a presence Allah placed as a mercy upon them, a mercy they never acknowledged until it was gone. Chosen one of the most profound and terrifying mercies of Allah is that He removes His beloved servants from certain people, places, and situations before the destruction hits, not because you are weak, not because you are unworthy, not because you are running away, but because Allah sees what you cannot see, hears what you cannot hear, and knows what your heart has not yet realized. And when He pulls you away suddenly, painfully, or without explanation, it is often His way of protecting you from a downfall, a betrayal, a storm, or a punishment that was written for them and not for you. Just as He rescued Noah, peace be upon him, before the flood poured upon his people, just as He removed Lut, peace be upon him, before destruction descended upon the corrupt, just as He separated Yusuf, peace be upon him, from the environment poisoned with jealousy, Allah removes you because He refuses to let you drown with those who were never meant to walk your path. And the moment He disconnects you through distance, heartbreak, disappointment, betrayal, or even a sudden shift in your soul, He is actually lifting you out of a place that would have become your prison, your downfall, your heartbreak, or your destruction. And when everything begins to fall apart after your departure, when chaos begins to expose their true nature, when the very people who looked stable suddenly lose direction, it is Allah showing you that you were saved, not abandoned, elevated, not rejected, purified, not punished. For the destruction was written for them as a consequence of their arrogance, their sins, their ingratitude, or their hidden intentions, and your removal was the clearest sign of His love, because He separates His chosen ones not when they are ready, but when the danger is near, when the corrupt are about to face what they sowed, and when he wants to make sure that you, his chosen servant, will never be touched by a storm that was never meant for you. Chosen one, one of the most shocking realities Allah reveals to you only after you withdraw is that many people were not as strong, independent, confident, or stable as they pretended to be. Their strength was borrowed from you, their stability was leaning on you, their peace was absorbing your light, and their success was quietly riding on the sincerity of your heart. And the moment you stepped back, the moment you stopped solving their problems, the moment you stopped carrying their emotional weight, the moment you said, "I need space," everything they were propping up with ego, pride, manipulation, or fake confidence began to collapse because your withdrawal exposed the truth. They were only functioning because of your presence, and without you, they had no foundation, no balance, no emotional intelligence, no spiritual center, and no stability. All the loudness, all the arrogance, all the pretending, all the "I don't need them" was nothing but fragile pride that crumbled the moment Allah removed you. Their relationships started failing because you were the peacekeeper. Their home became chaotic because you were the moral compass. Their friendships fell apart because you were the glue holding everything together. Their emotional life became unstable because you were the grounding force Allah placed beside them. And when you withdrew, their false strength was exposed for what it truly was, an illusion. Your silence exposed their dependence. Your absence exposed their weakness. Your detachment exposed their insecurity. And your withdrawal exposed that everything they claimed they could handle without you was actually being held up by your light, your patience, your kindness, your prayers, and your spiritual resilience. And Allah allowed this exposure not to humiliate them, but to honor you, to show you that you were never the burden, you were the blessing, that they weren't supporting you, you were supporting them, and that their life didn't fall apart because you left it fell apart, because without your sincerity, without your character, and without your heart, they were forced to face the truth of who they really were beneath the image they projected. Chosen one of the most profound ways Allah restores your honor is not by making people suddenly treat you better, not by forcing them to apologize, not by giving you the recognition they refuse to offer, but by removing you so completely, so quietly, so decisively from their life that they are left with nothing but the echo of your absence and the reality of what they lost. Because Allah knows that people who take you for granted will never see your worth while you are still carrying them, still forgiving them, still giving them chances, still healing what they break, still absorbing what they project, still standing beside them even when they never stood beside you. So Allah pulls you away not as punishment for you, but as enlightenment for them, because your presence was too soft, too consistent, too forgiving, too stabilizing, too generous for them to correctly calculate its value. And only when Allah removes you do they start to notice the void, the peace that left, the clarity that faded, the compassion that vanished, the moral direction that collapsed, the stability that disappeared. They begin to realize that the life they enjoyed was never flowing because of their wisdom, but because of your patience, never calm because of their maturity, but because of your understanding, never blessed because of their actions, but because of the barakah Allah sent through you. And when Allah removes you, He removes the barakah, the ease, the silent protection that your soul carried, forcing them to witness the direct consequences of their ingratitude. Conversations become harsher, relationships become tense, small problems turn into big fires, their heart feels unsettled, and even the things they once handled effortlessly begin slipping through their fingers. They start searching for reasons, blaming circumstances, blaming others, blaming fate, until Allah makes the truth undeniable. It started when they lost you, the person they dismissed, the heart they ignored, the soul they wounded, the blessing they never valued. And this is how Allah teaches them your worth, not by lifting you up in front of them, but by letting their life fall apart without you, letting their peace decay, letting their comfort disappear, letting their illusions of strength crumble, until they finally understand that your presence was never an accident, never replaceable, never something they could treat lightly. Allah shows them that you were a divine gift, a mercy, a protection, a helper, a carrier of light sent into their life. And when they proved unworthy of that blessing, He withdrew you to protect your heart and to expose their reality. And the irony is that your silence teaches them more than your words ever could, because people often don't realize the value of a diamond until they try to replace it with stones, and they don't understand the worth of a protector until the shield is no longer there. Your absence becomes the loudest truth, the clearest lesson, the mirror that shows them what they lost, what they mishandled, and what they thought they could live without, but now desperately wish they had appreciated. And in that moment, Allah elevates you, for He removes His chosen ones not to diminish them, but to display their worth in a way that no argument, no confrontation, and no explanation ever could. Chosen one. One of the deepest truths you must accept is that the reason their life falls apart when you leave is not only because you were a source of stability, it is because you carried a light inside you that their hearts were never prepared to handle, a light that softened their anger, calmed their chaos, balanced their emotions, and protected them from consequences their own actions were attracting. Allah placed Nur in your presence, a spiritual radiance that your kindness, patience, sincerity, and purity kept glowing even when you didn't realize it. And the people around you became dependent on that glow without ever acknowledging its source, mistaking your softness for weakness, your forgiveness for naivety, your compassion for obligation, and your stability for something ordinary. Yet the truth is that your light was fighting battles for them in silence, absorbing their negativity, neutralizing their jealousy, diffusing their arguments, calming their storms, protecting them from their own impulsiveness, and covering flaws they never corrected because they were too comfortable leaning on your emotional and spiritual maturity. But not every heart can handle divine light, because light exposes darkness. Light reveals hidden intentions, light triggers insecurity, and light unsettles those who prefer illusions over truth. And this is why some people felt intimidated by you without reason, jealous of you without cause, irritated by your goodness without explanation. Your presence made their shadows visible even if you said nothing. And when you finally disappeared, when Allah removed you to protect your soul from environments that were draining you, they were forced to face the darkness your light once softened. Their bitterness resurfaced, their anger intensified, their ego grew uncontrollable, their insecurity became louder, their relationships began breaking, and the peace you once brought into their environment vanished instantly, leaving them with the truth that you were the balancing force Allah sent. The spiritual purifier in a place filled with emotional toxins, the calm in a room full of storms, the mercy in a space that did not deserve you, and your departure exposed something they never wanted to admit, that the stability they enjoyed was never theirs, but a gift wrapped inside your existence, a gift Allah gave through you, and a gift Allah took away when He saw their hearts rejecting the very light that protected them. Their guilt grows, their regret deepens, their confusion intensifies, because when you carried the light, they thought it was normal. But when the light left, they realized the darkness had always belonged to them, not you. And this is why Allah removed you, not because you were failing, but because you were shining too brightly for people who misused, misread, and misunderstood the very light that was saving them. And now, as their life unravels and their soul becomes restless, Allah makes it clear that your light was never something they could control, contain, or compete with. It was a divine trust, and when they failed to honor it, Allah chose to protect it by pulling you away, elevating you and letting them taste the emptiness that comes when a chosen one, carrying a light they could never handle, finally walks out of the room. Chosen one. One of the most profound realities of your journey is that Allah placed you as the backbone in places, relationships, and environments that many people thought could survive on their own, and because your strength, patience, and unwavering faith were quietly holding everything together, they never realized what was happening behind the scenes. They assumed life was functioning because of their own intelligence, their own planning, their own effort. But the truth is that Allah used you as the hidden pillar, the stabilizing force, the one who carried weight no one else wanted to lift, the silent anchor that kept people from falling into chaos, the soul whose prayers, patience, and presence were the unseen glue holding hearts, families, teams, and relationships intact. And yet they took it for granted, dismissed it, and sometimes even mocked it, believing that your loyalty, your endurance, your guidance, and your quiet wisdom were ordinary, replaceable, and unimportant, not understanding that the moment Allah removed you, whether through distance, heartbreak, disappointment, betrayal, or divine separation, the very foundation they depended on began crumbling. And they suddenly realized too late that the stability, the peace, the emotional balance, the problem-solving, the understanding, the calm in conflict, the guidance in confusion, and the grace under pressure that they were enjoying had always come from you, because Allah had strategically placed you in that role to carry burdens they were never meant to handle, to protect them from consequences they could not foresee, and to guide them through challenges they were too impatient, too proud, or too weak to face alone. Your prayers, your dua, your patience, your emotional maturity, your integrity, your consistency, your wisdom, your moral courage, your humility, and your reliance on Allah, all combined to form an invisible support system they never acknowledged, never thanked you for, and never understood until your absence made the truth undeniable. And when the cracks began to appear, when relationships started breaking, when plans began failing, when peace disappeared, when conflict intensified, when trust eroded, when chaos rose where stability once existed, they finally comprehended that they had been leaning on you all along, that their comfort, their emotional health, their progress, their peace, and their happiness had been intertwined with your presence, that their sense of normalcy was never self-generated, but was a direct result of your patience, wisdom, and light. And yet they never appreciated it until Allah withdrew His chosen servant, letting them face the reality of their dependence, exposing the truth of their ingratitude, and showing them that you were never an accessory, never a replaceable resource, never optional, never ordinary, but a divine backbone, a critical, irreplaceable support, a mercy in human form, a blessing whose absence brings clarity, whose silence teaches lessons, whose departure awakens hearts, whose value can never truly be measured until it is missed. And in this moment of divine revelation, Allah honors you not by bringing them back to apologize, not by giving them power over you, not by forcing their recognition, but by elevating you beyond their comprehension, showing that the backbone you carried, the weight you bore, the peace you provided, the guidance you offered, and the light you shined were all part of Allah's perfect plan to prepare, protect, and preserve the chosen one, even when the world failed to acknowledge the blessing that walked among them. Chosen one. One of the most profound and life-altering realities that Allah teaches His chosen servants is that your absence is never meaningless, never random, and never without divine purpose. When you are removed from situations, when your presence is no longer felt, when your guidance, your patience, your dua, your stability, your kindness, and your light are withdrawn, the world around you begins to shift, not because of what you did or did not do, but because Allah allows the hearts, minds, and lives of others to confront a truth they have long ignored, that they have been leaning on a blessing they neither recognized nor appreciated, that their peace, their success, their clarity, and their stability were intertwined with your presence in ways they never understood, and that the life they thought they were building on their own was actually being held together by the mercy, patience, sincerity, and light Allah placed in you. And in this removal, Allah is initiating a spiritual awakening for them, a reckoning of the heart, a confrontation with the reality they have been avoiding, because some souls only recognize value once it is gone, some hearts only awaken when the pillar is removed, and some people only understand the depth of mercy, guidance, and divine light when it no longer touches their daily life. And so, as you withdraw, silently or through distance, their world begins to fracture. Conversations that once flowed smoothly become tense, relationships that seemed stable start to crack, plans that seemed secure begin to fail, emotions that were once controlled spiral into confusion, and peace that they assumed was self-generated vanishes, revealing the truth that your presence had been carrying the weight of what they could not manage on their own. And yet this collapse is not punishment for them, nor a sign of your failure. It is Allah's way of unveiling the reality of their hearts, exposing their dependence, illuminating their negligence, and making them face a lesson that words, warnings, or reminders could never deliver. Their arrogance, their pride, their ignorance, their disregard, their inability to value what they had in front of them becomes undeniable. And the void left by your absence is a mirror reflecting not your absence as a loss, but their own misjudgment, ingratitude, and lack of awareness, a mirror that they cannot escape, ignore, or soften with excuses. For Allah has made the absence of His chosen servant a spiritual alarm that shakes the soul awake, and as they experience the emptiness, the imbalance, the unrest, and the unraveling of their life, a seed of awakening begins to grow, the recognition that someone extraordinary, someone carrying light, someone aligned with Allah, someone whose dua and patience were a blessing they never realized, was walking among them, and that their treatment, their neglect, or their underestimation has consequences. And even if they never voice it, even if they never apologize, even if their hearts remain hardened for a time, the awakening has begun because Allah designed it this way. He does not need them to validate your worth. He does not need them to acknowledge your sacrifice, and He does not need them to repair what they broke, because the ultimate purpose of your absence is to elevate you, purify you, and demonstrate your value in the most undeniable way possible, letting the world see through consequences what words never could, letting hearts feel the emptiness that was once filled by your divine presence, letting souls confront the reality that what they thought was ordinary was, in fact, extraordinary, and that the peace, stability, guidance, protection, and mercy they received through you was a trust from Allah that they neither earned nor comprehended. And this is the awakening Allah orchestrates, a quiet, undeniable, unignorable truth that teaches them that their life, their decisions, their relationships, and their peace were never entirely in their own control, that the one they dismissed, undervalued, or mistreated was a chosen servant carrying a weight of divine mercy they could not perceive, and that their world now falling apart is not chaos without reason but a spiritual unveiling, a test of awareness, a divine lesson in humility and realization, showing them that your absence is far more powerful than your presence ever could be, that it awakens truths, exposes hearts, unmasks illusions, and delivers clarity that no confrontation, no argument, and no earthly logic could ever achieve. And while their awakening is often slow, painful, and resistant, it is inevitable, because Allah's plan cannot be delayed, His wisdom cannot be ignored, and His chosen servant, even in absence, continues to teach, guide, protect, and elevate in ways the world can only feel, never fully touch, never fully comprehend, and never replace. And as this awakening unfolds, your soul is free, honored, purified, and elevated, carrying forward with a clarity, strength, and peace that comes only from walking the path Allah prepared for the chosen ones, leaving behind those who were unready to handle your light, so that the consequences of their actions and their negligence will teach them in the only way they could learn, while you rise untouched, untarnished, and undeniably recognized by Allah, whose plans are perfect, whose wisdom is absolute, and whose chosen servants are never lost, never diminished, and never undervalued, even when the world fails to see. Chosen one, now you see the truth that most will never understand. Your presence has always been more than just a part of someone's life. It has been a blessing, a protection, a mercy, a backbone, and a light that Allah placed in the world to guide, stabilize, and elevate those around you, even when they failed to recognize it. And when you withdraw, when you step back, when you disappear from places that no longer honor your value, it is not abandonment, it is divine strategy. It is Allah revealing the reality of hearts, exposing the truth of lives, and showing the world the magnitude of what they lost when they took a chosen servant for granted. Your absence becomes a mirror, a lesson, a wake-up call, and a revelation not just for others, but for your own soul, as Allah elevates you, purifies you, and prepares you for what He has destined. So do not despair when people falter without you. Do not grieve when things fall apart in your absence. Do not question your worth when they fail to see it, for the collapse around them is proof of your importance, your divine purpose, and your unmatched place in Allah's plan. Remember, chosen one, the world may crumble without you, but Allah's vision of your destiny never falters, your light never diminishes, and your journey, guided by His wisdom, is unstoppable. Stand firm in faith, stay aligned with your purpose, and let Allah's plan unfold, for you are His chosen, His beloved, His protector, and His blessing. And when the world finally awakens to your value, they will see that it was never about them, but about the divine work that only you were sent to complete.